for giving us a 5-star review on Google. And I wanted to start off with this because Darren makes a really good point, and one of the reasons why I started Soil Connect is he has tried many companies for their social media management, and no one could really hit the nail on the head. And he says he's finally found a company who fits their needs, and that it's great to deal with in every way. And so one of the things I realized when I got into the soil space is that there's a lot of words that you should or shouldn't use. There's a lot of graphics and images that kind of fit within the soil health space and don't. And so I wanted to build a business and a brand that got me closer to soil and other companies that worked with soil. And I think that was kind of the fresh of breath there, that most of the people who started working with me at the time and now the team is that we really understand soil and what ag needs to look like. And so thanks, Darren from Best. I'm going to jump into their website to just have a quick chat about some of the things that we did with Best Farming Systems. So when this client first came on board, if you've been following our case study series, very similar to Luke, there was a couple of things on the website that I wanted to get sorted before we start driving traffic to it. And so my rule is that we can start social media management, we can do paid advertising, but if once people click, they get to the other side and there's a bit of a letdown, or there's no call to actions, or there isn't a really, what I like to call a slippery slope into working with you, then you're kind of wasting your time and effort. And so I'm not here to just, let's do social media management, let's do paid advertising, take the money, get the clicks, and go, oh, well, your website's broken. It's like, no. Let's prevent that. Let's create ways that your website is working, and then at the right time, activate the paid and social media side of things. So month one for me is always like health check, dotting I's, crossing T's, checking things on the website. And so when we first started working with Best Farming Solutions, and this website's completely getting rebuilt soon, so if you go to it later, you might find that it's completely changed. But one of the things that I'm really big on is that when people click your social media assets, that needs to open up in a new tab. It shouldn't take over the current tab, and people shouldn't lose where they currently were. You want them to have the ability to go to Twitter, Instagram, socials, have fun there, and then close the tab and then come back to where they left off. Once that gets hijacked, once people close that window because now they're on Twitter or Facebook, then they've lost the ability to come back and continue that conversation that they were having with the website. Some of the things, so that was one of the things that kind of we made sure were working. The 1-800 wasn't like a clickable where you can click to call. That makes more sense as we move more into digital phones and also on mobile devices. So it's making sure that everything kind of opens in a new window. One of the other things that we did with this website initially is that these listings would have the prices, and because the product can be bought in a 1 litre bottle or 4 litre bottle all the way up to big IBC tubs, the pricing was like $60 to $4,000, and it kind of created confusion because people didn't really know why there was such a big price variance. So just removing the price from this kind of listing, I think, made a better user experience. And then this call to action down the bottom was join the newsletter. And I'm not sure how many people get excited about joining newsletters unless it's something that you're really passionate about, like maybe you're a train collector, or maybe you collect stamps and there's a Stamp Society newsletter and you want to really get up to date. But when it's coming from a business to business transaction, joining a newsletter, especially when no one's really experienced what the newsletter is about, is a very weak call to action. So initially this was like join the newsletter, name, email, join the newsletter. And I didn't really feel like that was a good exchange of value. If someone's going to give you the email addresses and then you're going to potentially send them marketing messages, then it needs to be a good value exchange. And so they had this guide, which is for free. You just got to put in your email address, and it is loaded with so many good information and tips and tricks and advice and thoughts and theories and methods to biologically stimulate your soil. And I was like this is valuable information that you've got in this document. I think that is the call to action, that people can get the guide. So you can go and fill out those informations if that piques your interest. But initially, Darren and the team from Best came because they wanted help with their social media management, and we've done that. And to the point where Darren's given us a 5-star review, which is awesome. And so this is kind of the other thing that we did as well is we made sure that all the social assets were on brand. So when we first start dealing with a lot of clients, to be honest, Facebook looks one way because one of the sons set it up, and then Instagram looks a different way because they set it up on the train on a way of an event because someone said you need to have Instagram, and then LinkedIn looks different as well because someone else designed that. So brand coherence and consistency really matters as well as people move between the different platforms. Does it all look the same? Does it feel the same? Can I tell that I am still on the same website? And so as we click through here, you'll see that YouTube feels similar, the same. Instagram doesn't really have a header, but the logo is the same. I don't know what's happening with X or Twitter anymore, so let's just ignore that. And then Facebook is the same here as well. So I think that's really, really important as well, to make sure that things are consistent. So those are one of the other things that we say, maybe you want to do social media management, but here's some of the things that we need to look at first before we start spending time and effort on driving people to these platforms. So, these are some of the posts with Best. We pretty much do most of the postings here. So everything kind of has this green. It uses very similar flow and effects of their brand, and that the leaf, the Best leaf. So everything's all kind of consistent. Again, we schedule this a month in advance. We send it off for approval, and then everything gets approved, and then we schedule everything on the day that it needs to be sent out. So sometimes they're animating, sometimes they're not. Some of their team has been on the podcast, so we're sharing some of their podcasts, a little bit meta. But a lot of the time when I start working with people, it is because they've discovered me from the podcast, or I've had an interview with them, and at the end of the conversation, they're like, so tell me a little bit about you. And we start chatting, and they're like, oh my God, that's exactly what we need help with. And so a lot of the work that I do, and things, whether it's a quick fix job like, our SEO isn't working, or our sitemap has failed, or, we need, in fact, this, different things, let me finish that thought. It can be a one-time job. This is broken, I need it fixed, done, or it can be ongoing. So this one here is like ongoing, where every month we're doing social media management. I was going to go on to say this series here, where Darren and the team had a lot of videos that they recorded behind the scenes, I guess, how the factory works, how the things get loaded in and out of the truck, using drone technology to spray some of the inputs, how things get wrapped on a pallet. This series did really, really well. People shared it, really enjoyed, seeing behind the curtain of how the kind of business works. And so this is kind of what makes the business real. And so I'm always encouraging people to think about, what you think might be boring and ordinary is other people's extraordinary. They're like, well, I never knew that, they were all filled by hand, that someone walks around and fills it and puts all the caps on and stacks them and then wraps them. We live in a world where we don't really know how things work behind the scenes. And so sharing a peek of that to your customers, to your social feeds, is really a cool way of making your customers feel a little bit more included. Darren and the team are really big on going to trade shows. So they have a big event calendar, pretty much in the middle of the year. So we make sure that we've got all those dates in the calendar, and we're scheduling posts around being at those events and focusing on different topics as they travel around the country and meeting different people. So that is just a little bit of a peek around Best and what we are doing with Best, and how we may potentially be able to help you as well. So soilconnect.com.au, come to our website, book a call. You get taken to a calendar straight away. There's a couple of questions you need to answer. My availability is all live. You can book a call with me. This is a growth strategy call. It's more about, are we a good fit to work with each other? There's no sales involved. We go through and do like a really quick marketing health check. And maybe me and some of the team can help with solving some of the information. And here's another testimonial from Best, and there's a few other people here. Sometimes people it's hard to get the success stories out of people sometimes. So I'm really grateful when people do, and make sure that we are doing things at the highest level that we possibly can. So yeah, if that's piqued your interest, feel free to follow this series along. Go and check out some of the other videos and clients that we've been working on, the problems and the solutions we're solving, yeah, the different levels of way that Soil Connect can come and help you. A lot of the work that we do with clients is all remotely and on the cloud. We're using Zoom. We have things stored in online platforms. It's very easy for us to all work around the clock, in different time zones, with different people involved at different times. So the way that I've designed Soil Connect is that it's location independent. It's the only way that we can really help multiple businesses around the world who are doing great things for the planet and the soil. And so that's been a big kind of goal of mine, is how do we keep the team and the clients all working within the cloud environment to make sure that everything is online all the time and we know exactly where to go when we need to find something. So on that note, if that's piqued your interest and you think that Soil Connect or myself or anyone on the team can help you take your soil caring and earth caring sustainable business to the next level, then reach out, book a call, let's have a chat and see how we can start working together to leave the planet better today than what it was yesterday. I'm Ray. I'll catch you